Hi, I'm back. Yeah, I don't know how to start this because there's so many things I want to say, but I guess you can see from the title, I'm gonna talk about this. I've been wanting to do this for a long while, I think for a good 6 months. I thought I'd leave it all to the end so I can just tell the whole thing from start to finish. Beneath the Doll. This is like my baby. There is so many things I want to say. I want to word vomit everything, but I can't just... I don't know what to say. It's a lot. So I wrote this really short summary of the musical. Beneath It All is a textbook musical, is what I like to call it. It's very typical, it's really generic. It's not this brand new wow story. It's about 3 best friends, Lacey, Michael, and Nellie. Mostly centers around them trying to fit in the social hierarchy of high school, because that is a thing. Explore the friendship between the 3 little fragments of the friendship that form in the end to be this really nice golden friendship. Yeah. Things take a twisted turn as the new boy Andy happens to capture the eyes of all the students, and most importantly Lacey, because this is when the change starts to trigger within Lacey. She tries to please him in every way possible, tries too hard. Little did she know what lies beneath his good looks. Michael notices this, and Nellie as well. Change within Lacey starts to be more noticeable when she lies to her own mother in order to have more time spent with Andy. And in doing so, she uses Michael to cover the dirty little secret that she's got. Slowly, she begins to drift apart from what her old lifestyle used to be, and she's now turning into something she's always dreamed of being. And that's just being on the top of the social hierarchy, because she's never been noticed before, she's never been accepted. And now through Andy, she's unleashed into this whole new world that she's never been a part of. And that's just so cool to her. From afar are Michael and Nellie, who seem to be observing Lacey's actions. It comes to a point in the show where they're technically no longer friends. Lacey's forgotten about them, she's ditched them to be with the new boy. However, Michael and Nellie don't want to give up on trying to bring her back. As the story progresses, the further away Lacey is from Michael, the more raw his emotions are towards the situation. So what I mean by how raw his emotions are becoming is his true feelings towards Lacey are slowly being vomited out of his mouth. Probably guessed, yeah, Michael does like her, but he just doesn't want to admit it. Moving on! So that's basically Act 1. It ends with Lacey and Andy getting together, just excluding the fact that Lacey doesn't know what Andy is truly like. So that's when Act 2 comes in. Lacey begins to notice Andy's true colors as their relationship progresses. He becomes more toxic for her mentality. She starts to grow tired of keeping up with. This is basically Lacey's downgrade. If you look at it in a chart, Act 1 for Lacey is basically this increasing straight line, and it hits Act 2, it starts to go down slowly. So this is when it starts to go down. As Lacey's condition begins to downgrade, so does everything around her. Her mom finds out about her lies, Michael then finds out that he's been used, and she also ruined her relationship with Nellie because she really doesn't know how to treat a best friend like. So with all of these relationships slowly teared down, Lacey begins to lose her mind as well as her reputation. There comes a point where she snaps, realizes the position she's in, very much realizes how much she wants to go back to her old life, everything back to normal, even though at this point it seems really impossible. It starts to go back up, but in a really slow manner. She obviously becomes honest. She talks to her mom, gets forgiven. A few months later, because they're seniors in high school, graduated, and that's when the apology happens between Lacey and Michael. Michael is about to leave for university. She comes in and apologizes, and that's basically how the story goes. I didn't want to make the ending really cliche and have them get together, but I did have Michael confess his feelings for Lacey. So that's basically the gist of everything. That's just a really short summary of the whole show, and that's 4 minutes. I am not a composer. I use songs from existing musicals such as your typical Dear Evan Hansen, Be More Chill, Mean Girls, just the musicals that really fit in this genre of story. But I'm not saying I made the music for this. The songs here are very much from Broadway musicals. Set that out there. Yeah, I did not make the music. You good. Funny thing is, I wrote this in a plane. Yeah, I was on a 15-hour flight and I did not know what to do. Okay, I didn't really write this in a plane. I used to have this list of just ideas. I do not show this to anyone. I will not show this to anyone. I had this picture of it, but I just didn't know how to start. I mean, I had a 15-hour flight. Let's just try to make something out of it. So I made a really messy draft version. It wasn't even Beneath It All at first. It was such a cheesy title. In the beginning, there wasn't a Nelly. It's just Lacey and Michael. I used to name them female and male. I just write F and M on the script because I didn't know what name. It wasn't all proper where I sat down and like had a plan of what I wanted to write. It was just really spontaneous. I don't know if that should be concerning or not. I mean, it worked out. And obviously what I wrote then really evolved. There were so many changes that had to be made just to make it more appealing to kids our age. Thanks to Tori and Abby and Indira, who I worked with. Really how it started, sent them a snap and saying, hey, I'll actually put the snap in right now. I think I was in the plane getting off. I sent 4 of them a snap saying, hey, do you want to basically help me out with this musical, blah, blah, blah. I knew Tori really well and Abby as well, but I did not know Indira at all. I just knew she was a really good singer in school because she would sing in these concerts. Didn't know her at all. Honestly, without this, I wouldn't be friends with her. Yeah, she's a really good friend and she's really cool. And so are you, Tori and Abby. Basically the kickstart of the show. I really went into this with an open mind and a positive mindset because I was determined that this will work out. Little did I know how hard it would be. What I'm gonna say after this is directed to anyone who wants to do something like this. It doesn't even have to be a musical, but in general, to start something, be prepared. Planning is the most vital thing. Especially for this musical, we did have a plan. We had a calendar. I put dates for every rehearsal. Scene should be rehearsed on what day and blah blah blah. Have backup plans. I mean, it's fine to complain. Don't complain too much to the point where it's literally torturing you. Find a way to find quick solutions because it'll really help in the long term. Don't panic. Go into this with motivation and determination. That rhymes. The upsides, really the new friends you get to make. That's just the nicest thing to ever think of because I've made so many memories with them. And it's not just about performing. Sometimes when it's after rehearsals, we'd go and eat, go to chat time. We literally do these little things that are so memorable. Sometimes where we joke at the most dumb things, and at the same time there's also downsides. It's so hard to be calm when you're doing something like this. Have a due date basically, to have everything done and prepared. And when you're in the middle of the process is what I like to call, and you see that you're falling behind, it's literally when things start to go, I can't snap. We need to get our shit together. That's happened numerous times where I would just go home from rehearsal and lay in bed and look at the wall and be like, where are we going with this? There's some times where I even say to myself, is this even gonna work? What are people gonna think? Are people gonna like it? Are my teachers gonna like it? Are people gonna even want to see the show? It's those dumb things that I start thinking of and getting everything together. You can't stop it because it's such a human thing to do. I've learned so much from thinking like that. Not pay attention to the now, instead just look at the process. How I try to motivate myself and everything. But yeah, the goal in February. Auditions in the end of February, start of rehearsals, bang on in March.
Apocalypse on the Dam! Level 9! The cafeteria!
And that bad guy for suicide.
6 to 7 months to work on this show and get everything together. But when summer actually really started, which was the end of June, I actually had the chance to relax. When you're in rehearsal, directing the show and getting everything together, you're stressed. I don't want to sound like I'm being over dramatic, but it really gets stressful when you're trying to organize everything backstage, on stage, sound, lighting, downloading every single production and making all of these audios to just make everything good enough. It's a lot of workload on you. If you want to do this, just be prepared, take care of yourself, get enough sleep. That's so overused, but it's true. You have to really be committed. I get it, really nothing to some people, but if you really want to make this a success, you have to really be committed. It's a really big responsibility. I feel the responsibility to just look over everything and see if everything's right. It's a big advantage because you learn how to organize yourself and get everything together. You also learn how to just lead. I'm not known to be a leader. I prefer not to be a leader. I like to follow people. But through this, I've learned so many things. There were so many mistakes that I've made. Pissed people off. I've pissed teachers off. I've done a lot of things that pissed other people off. And I'm sorry. I didn't mean it. It's also a thing where you just have to suck it up and move on. How I had to cope with everything. And I am tired. You really have to be strict with what you're doing and how you're doing it to really get everything together. There was this phase where it's basically a month before the show started. We are not prepared. We haven't done a run through of the show and there's a month left to get everything together. It all worked out, just saying. I'm just not trying to scare anyone. It's a really cliche quote, but it's always darkest before dawn, and that's pretty heckin' true. A few days before the show actually started, I talked to one of the directors. I'm scared if this doesn't work. I was so nervous that people wouldn't like it. I was so scared that people wouldn't come and actually watch. I mean, that didn't really matter anyway, you know, if it wasn't like a full sold out show, but it scared me because I've never done anything like this in my life. What we've worked on so far, it's scary. It honestly is really nerve-wracking, especially if it's your first time doing it and your first time directing your show, your first time being in a musical, your first time writing an actual script and showcasing it to some people. You feel all this pressure around you and you want to blow up. That's literally how I felt. And then the show actually came. I hugged one of my backstage crew members and they were like, wow, your heart's beating really fast. And I was like, yeah, it really is. Is when the show actually happened, I was watching from the top in the lighting booth. One of the nicest things is to see the people performing who in the beginning were not actors. They did not like acting, they didn't think they would be an actor, or they didn't like musicals. They're right there doing the thing that I thought they could do. Honestly, the most coolest things, seeing them evolve so much over the past 6 to 7 months, doing the show without me making them shut up and do the thing that they should be doing, or etc. Honestly, never forget this. Imagining what I would be without it, I wouldn't be doing anything. I wouldn't be as productive as I am. And it just makes me so excited. You know, despite how much pressure it's gonna be on me and how much work it's gonna be, I enjoy it so much. Having the opportunity to be doing this is the coolest thing, and I am so grateful for it. I just want to sit down and see it all over again. I was surprised that people liked it. Just because of how cliche and generic the story is, I didn't expect people to want to watch it. I was pretty heckin' surprised that people kind of liked it, and that itself just gives me a really nice and fuzzy feeling, and I love it a lot. I don't know what to do now. Everything just sort of feels a bit empty. I'm just so used to telling the cast members or the directors, saying, hey, today we have rehearsals after school, I'll meet you guys in the theater or in the music room, whatever. And now it's just, I see them in school, and I still hang out with them, honestly. I always do. I've always been with them for the past 7 months, and I feel so lucky to have grown close to them. And what sucks is most of them are like graduating this year, so that's pretty sad. I'll miss every single thing about this show. The people, I'll miss just laughing in rehearsals even though we weren't supposed to be. I'll miss doing work. I'll miss having my Google tab open of the script so I can memorize it in class or when I'm free. I miss the little things that happen.
No! No!
We all have inside jokes, and it's like this little family that's been created through this. If you were part of Beneath It All, or if you watched it, or if you were slightly interested in it, I don't care. If you somehow took part in it, you don't have to be in it. Thanks. It's cheesy. It was a dream come true. Honestly, hands down, this is something I've been wanting to do ever since I was a little girl. Not necessarily direct a show, but just be so immersed in a world where I still dream of being in, having the chance to do it. That we actually made it work as students who were still coping with IB and still coping with schoolwork. The insane part is how everything just seems to fall into place, like how I first imagined it to be. Despite how bad the situation was at that time, how the cast members weren't cooperating well, how we were having arguments with one another, everything just fell into place, and I cannot thank Jesus for that. Honestly, it's insane how if you simply believed. Cheesy. I'm gonna be honest, from the very beginning, I had the gut feeling that it was gonna work out, whatever that happened. We had the best time just creating them, and I miss it so much. I wish I could just rewind everything, especially like if it were like last week, you know, just perform it again. So, a little lesson, if you want something, if you really, really want it, and you know it's for you, and you know it's good for you, then go for it. Following what you truly believe in is gonna help. I personally think that if you follow your gut feeling, everything will fall into place the way it's meant to be. I've gone through time would think that maybe starting this wasn't a good idea, and it was just these contradictory thoughts that I would have along the way. It was that gut feeling, and Jesus, that really made me just fight through everything and not give up. And that was the thing that never changed through making this musical. Me, Tori, Abby, and Dira, the cast, the crew, and just them not giving up. Because if you were in my position of seeing how rehearsals were still messy, everything seemed effed up at that point, you think to yourself and you're like, is this even gonna work out? And then a month later, people are coming in the theater to watch the show. People that I wouldn't even expect to have come are coming. Like, what? It goes to show that if you believe in something, it can come true. How many times you've doubted, really believe in something, then just keep it that way. Don't ditch it, don't leave it. Because I hate it when I see so much potential in someone and they just don't believe in themselves. That sucks. That's the end for today's video. I hope that wasn't too boring. Yeah, I'm gonna go now. I hope that inspired you to do something that you've always dreamed of doing, because it's pretty fun. So good luck to you, and have fun to whatever you want to do. Stay happy. No. Stay good. Eat. Sleep. Yeah,